What's up everyone, I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape From Tarkov video. In this video, we're going to be talking about a few tips for the early game and how to be more successful in Escape From Tarkov. Wipes can be pretty brutal, and this one, at least for me, has been especially brutal, so we're going to talk through a few tips. I stream Escape From Tarkov a few days a week. All my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by the channel, say hey, watch some raids live, and ask any questions that you might have. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first tip for being more proficient in the early game, I've said this before and I'll say it again, is use your scav runs and use them as often as possible. They really are a great way to acquire a bunch of loot without risking anything. You can use them in any number of ways. You can scav in, immediately extract, and then use that kit for your PMC if you want. You can use them as a way to play more aggressive and try to go big or go home and risk getting a bunch more loot. Or you can use them to just play the long game and to spend as much time as you can looting dead bodies, looting stashes, looting violent cabinets, looting anything, and just, it's a free, low risk way to earn some loot. I was talking with Veritas about, he thinks that factory is the best place to do a scav, and he made a lot of arguments that made a lot of sense, where it's definitely, factory is a stomping ground. You have to be ready to fight and to fight quite a few people. But on a map like factory, it's like the highest density of loot. There's going to be dead scavs everywhere. Scavs have potential for rare spawns. A lot of time when you spawn, you'll spawn with a lab key card or a gas analyzer or a flash drive. And then even the scavs that the AI scavs, not even other player scavs, have that rare spawn potential in their pockets or in their backpack. So in a factory raid, especially towards the end, there's going to be dead scavs everywhere. So you can loot the filing cabinets, the safe if it's not looted. You can loot the scavs that are all over the place, and you're never too far away from an extract because factory is so small. So there's a bunch of ways to do it, but in the early game, when it can be brutal and you can lose a bunch of loot and be super frustrated on your PMC, having your scav to fall back on to make a bunch of extra loot and or money is a great thing to do. The second tip, and this is something that I really put into practice this wipe, is use equipment that you're good with. I know that a lot of times you don't have access to a whole lot out of the gate. They have definitely increased how many, the variety of things that other scavs can spawn with. So by going into a raid and killing a bunch of scavs, you can get a bunch of AKs or, Vepr hunters or even FALs or VSSs from player scavs. But I found that when I kept trying to go into raids with equipment that was cheap or super readily available that I wasn't very good with, I would just keep dying. And then I'd be like, well, I lost money. Now I need to spend even less on a gun. And a great example of that is for me with the SKS. The SKS is a great early game weapon. One of the best, arguably. 7.62 PS is an amazing round. It's accessible really early. You can find SKSs everywhere. I am just trash with the SKS iron sights. And so every time I try to go into a raid and be like, oh, this is my budget raid, this is a great raid, I would get into some PvP or even PvE and just not be proficient at all. I like guns like AKs where I can full auto or single tap, and the fire rate is low enough that I can just stay on full auto and decide if I want to single tap or full auto. That is just more my style. And even though the numbers of the ammo isn't as good, I found myself being much more proficient. So that's a tip that I have, is that basically when I get a bunch of guns that I know that I am not very good with, I'm just going to instantly sell them. And I can either use that money to buy guns I am going to do better with or buy other things I need. But for me, I've noticed over the long run, I'm more proficient. I'm surviving more raids by using equipment that I feel more confident with. The next tip is loot everything. Just everything. Loot is such an important part of the game, and even things that you might think are really insignificant could be attached to a quest or a hideout upgrade or a barter or a craft or any number of things, or could just be valuable to the traders or to other players on the flea market. Having empty space in your bag, if you can help it, is just wasted potential. Even something like a Zippo lighter or something that's not very valuable is worth more than nothing. And over time, over the course of weeks or months of looting everything that you can, you are going to make a lot more money. And then the other side of that coin is the more things you're looting, the more chances you get for a rare spawn. So filing cabinets or scavs or rooms or weapon crates, everything has rare loot that doesn't spawn as often. So if you only on average loot 2 or 3 things and just try and get a quest done or try and PvP, you're almost never going to find those things. But if every raid you take a few extra minutes and loot 5, 10, 15, 20 more things, whether it's a body, secret stash, duffel bag, the amount of times you're going to come across that rare loot is going to be so much more in less raids because you're looting more in each raid. So that's a great way to just make money. It's a great habit to get into, but fill your bag and loot everything that you can. The next tip is don't get too bogged down on one specific quest. Now, I have been a proponent for a long time that the absolute best way to level your character is to do the quests. And that's just kind of the way it is, right? Like the quests, especially farther down the road, give a ton of experience. They unlock new items. They unlock the traders. There's just no reason to really not be doing your quests. But it can be really easy to focus in on one, find and raid gas analyzers or flash drives, one of the ones that can be super annoying, and just run those over and over and over. And you keep dying, you can't find it. You keep dying, you can't find it. After you complete the first few quests and start leveling up a little bit, the traders really open up. And there comes a point where you have a ton of options and a ton of quests to do. And if you feel yourself start tilting or getting frustrated, start doing other quests. You know what I mean? For the rest of us, it's not really a race to Kappa or to 40 or whatever. And enjoying the game, enjoying the grind is really important. So if you need to, back off one and do another one, you might end up going to Shoreline and finding a gas analyzer or a flash drive and not having to grind this one specific spot. So that's something that I know gets a lot of people down. It's one quest they've been working on all day or all week even. Take the extra time, go do something else. A lot of times you'll either find what you need or you can come back to that with a fresh perspective. And the last tip is bring a friend. Now, this is kind of one of those that's up in the air. There's a lot of squads in Tarkov now, a lot more than there used to be. So much of the player base is coming in with either duos, trios, or squads, all the way up to 5-mans, so much more. Now, if you really enjoy playing solo, and you really just want that to be your experience, then you just kind of go in with the expectation of you have to play differently now. Every fight is most likely going to be a squad fight. It just changes the game. But if you're really starting to get frustrated, try to find somebody that also plays the game that might want a duo. I have found like a duo is like a really good spot of me still being able to like hang out and engage with chat and have fun with the game, but just have an extra pair of eyes, have an extra pair of ears, and it increases my survival rate dramatically. If you don't know anybody that plays Tarkov, I do have a Discord. That link will be down below. There is almost always people in there that will either run a quest with you, or even just like, hey, who's on, who wants to play, and we can run some duos or trios or whatever. But that it can definitely help. You know what I mean? It's just adding to more squads. I get that, and there are a lot of people that really are committed to like the solo play style. But just for people that are getting really frustrated and don't mind playing with squads, I would definitely advise bringing at least a duo just to help kind of offset some of that frustration. But that's it. Those are my tips for the early wipe. I hope that those helped. I hope it maybe gave you a fresh perspective or just something that you didn't know. It can definitely be brutal, especially when you don't have a lot of money to rely on, or the economy is just different. If you're going on a death streak or something, it can be super frustrating. So I hope that these tips helped you out and helped you survive more raids. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, drop a like or think about subscribing for more content like this. I'm always trying to create content that helps shorten the learning curve of the game and gets you in your raids having fun as soon as possible. Like I said before, I've got Twitch, Twitter, Discord, all that stuff. All the links will be down below. But thank you so much again for stopping by, and I will see y'all on the next one.